Good evening and welcome. This is the final project presentation from the APS 700 Masters Project at Thomas Edison State University. Presenting is Jason A. Rivera. As we move on to the abstract page, I have some questions to pose for you all. Would you leave your job if your company did things contrary to your values? Do consumers really expect companies to do what's better for the environment and society? How does an average company become considered a good company or even a great company? More importantly, how does a great company get to be considered a leader in sustainability? All these are great questions and some of the things that we'll be answering in today's session. Corporate social responsibility and its emergence from this interaction is the interdependent relationship between business and society. Corporate social responsibility is no longer an obligation that corporations feel they need to take on, but has become central to the operations of many of the best companies today. Despite numerous efforts to measure the consequences of CSR, it remains unclear how stakeholders perceive CSR activities. This is partially due because CSR isn't commonly implemented in corporate America today. What I pose to you in this study is to aim at developing a measurement scale for corporate social responsibility activities, based on a stakeholder framework with the utilization of already published surveys and literature. In addition, this study provides a proposition for evolution and refinement to business operations and technology initiatives within the opportunities available through the CSR framework. You'll see that the items for the scale were generated from a qualitative research and literature review. The survey will focus on consumer behavior, attitudes, and awareness about cause marketing, on consumer and employee perspective on CSR issues. This study will contribute to the literature by providing a valid and reliable scale to measure CSR and the successful implementation of the stakeholder theory at Everbank Commercial Finance. A little bit about the company. Everbank Commercial Finance. One of the pillars they stand on is that they have the stability and discipline of a well-capitalized bank and the resourcefulness and attentiveness of an entrepreneurial commercial finance company. Everbank Commercial Finance is a subsidiary of Everbank, the national bank, and it's transforming the way businesses think about financing. Some of the benefits include deep industry expertise and insights, smart solutions that help you grow profitably and build value, dependable execution focused on quality, reliability, and consistency, greener initiatives that contribute to environmental sustainability. Let us begin with an introduction to how businesses may be able to utilize CSR within their current operations. Companies operate within a business environment that is constantly changing and evolving. This activity changes needs and the demand for products and services both positively and negatively. Demographics, legal, technological, economic, and social forces influence these changes. CSR issues tend to gain a foothold in societies that are more affluent. However, it wouldn't be wise to assume that CSR is only applicable solely there. Corporations that operate foreign and domestically are being held to high standards for their overseas activities in developing countries. The effects of growing affluence and the changes in societal expectations that accompany it are enhanced by a growing concern for the environment. CSR is a rational argument for businesses seeking to maximize their potential by minimizing restrictions on operations. It's an integral element of the firm's strategy that values the relationships between businesses, their stakeholder groups, the economy, and the communities in which they exist. It represents a means of anticipating and reflecting societal concerns to minimize operational and financial constraints on business. Why is there a need for CSR, some may ask? CSR emerges from this interaction and the interdependent relationship between business and society. It's a way of matching corporate operations and societal values and expectations that are constantly evolving, as we know the world today. CSR is a regulatory solution for businesses seeking to maximize their performance by minimizing restrictions on operations and improve trade-off for all involved, which is a win-win situation. In today's globalizing world, where individuals and activist organizations feel empowered to enact change, CSR represents a means of anticipating and reflecting societal concerns to minimize operational and financial constraints on business. CSR will also add value because it will allow us to reflect the needs and concerns of our various stakeholder groups, In doing so, we are more likely to retain our societal legitimacy and maximize our financial viability over the long haul. How do we implement a CSR plan? Well, in order to implement, we first must declare whether we are planning to initiate a stakeholder advocacy or a stockholder advocacy. The stakeholder advocacy consists of both strategy and action to achieve an objective. The objective of advocacy is the engagement of stakeholders in the decisions affecting them. A stockholder perspective emphasizes profitability over responsibility and believes that success can be measured by shared price, dividends, and economic profit. It sees stakeholder management as a means that is an end. Responsibility for employment, local communities, the environment, consumer welfare, and social development are concerns that a stockholder perspective do not find important. Another area that involves CSR planning is community involvement. A community involvement strategy defines the long-term direction and systematic action required to achieve a company's goals in meeting both the needs of its communities and achieving business objectives. In short, a community involvement strategy is a 3 to 5 year how to get there plan. Only a sound community involvement strategy fully in line with your company's overall business strategy, or if you have one, CSR strategy, can help you achieve focused societal objectives in combination with business objectives, which is the best case scenario. The method taken in this study contains participants. These participants of the study will be the employees of Everbank whom have participated in the employee engagement survey. With regard to measures, the nature of my research is qualitative, so I will not be reporting descriptive statistics. The goal of a qualitative descriptive study is a comprehensive summarization in everyday terms of specific events experienced by individuals or groups of individuals. Qualitative measurement looks for patterns in non-numerical data in order to get a general feel for how things are. The measures that I will be using in my research as of right now are career development, work engagement, compensation, diversity and inclusion, relationship management, benefits, work environment, community, and sustainability. I will be using a Likert scale. CSR is measured by following a business organization's configuration into 3 levels. Principles of social responsibility, which internal stakeholder effects are those that affect stakeholders within the firm, followed by processes of social responsiveness, external stakeholder effects concern the impact of corporate actions on persons or groups outside the firm, and finally, outcomes of social responsibility. External institutional effects refer to the effects upon a larger institution of business rather than on any particular stakeholder group. The survey questions in the Employee Engagement Survey were broken down into various categories. These categories include career development, work engagement, compensation, relationship management, benefits, work environment, and social responsibility. The annual figures represent % of employees who answered favorably. The following results were taken from the matrix gained by the Everbank employees fulfilling and successfully completing the Everbank Engagement Survey. As a result, once the shortcomings were isolated and areas for improvement were noticed, the stakeholders felt it was only right to do something about it. And over the past couple of years, the survey results have highlighted several key areas for improvement across the company, including increased communication, enhanced career development and planning, and making more environmentally friendly decisions. Rather than being complacent, they come together by working as a team and working to create an action plan to address these areas of concern. This study not only proves that CSR is beneficial for any organization, even a lucrative one, but the study has also exposed a proposition. As stakeholders of Everbank Commercial Finance, we have the opportunity of a lifetime before us. The transformation ahead represents vast opportunities in a broad range of business segments as the global challenges of growth, urbanization, scarcity, and environmental change become the key strategic drivers for business in the coming decade. The social responsibility of business encompasses the economic, legal, ethical, and discretionary expectations that society has of organizations at a given point in time. See, by implementing CSR as a core initiative, we can surpass the legal obligation to manage the impact we have on the environment and society. What better way to achieve this than to lead by example and influence change one relationship at a time? I propose that we first assess how we can operate greener from a technological and operational standpoint. You'll see this in the coming slides. This initiative, as I call it, the organizational transformation, Everbank Goes Green. Some of you may ask, why do we need to implement a better CSR plan? Why do we need to address a greener initiative? Well, there's three big categories that detail why it's in our best interest to go green. The first being market demand, the second being client demand, and the third being political demand. Now, in the market demand, it's our responsibility as a business to encompass economic, legal, ethical, societal, and environmental expectations. Growth, urbanization, scarcity, and environmental change are becoming key strategy drivers for business. We can enjoy a marketing edge over the competition, and we could join the growing green business community. As for client demand, we'll be able to surpass our legal obligation and become a trendsetter for our obligors. We can maximize energy efficiency and eliminate waste for ourselves and our clients. This will help improve our return on interest for ourselves and our clients. We'll be able to qualify for business energy investment tax credit as well as the client. And ultimately, it will improve employee wellness and productivity. This ultimately leads into decreasing the use of fossil fuels and ultimately will propel investment in renewable energy. Now that we know that we should go green, how can we go green? Well, there's various sectors that I've put together to emphasize on where I would like to focus on, which is technology. Technology encompasses a wide variety of avenues that serve to be fertile for exploration. Green computing, for example. Current computers contain toxic chemicals. They use massive amounts of electricity, and they contribute to energy crisis, carbon dioxide emissions, and global warming. Green computers, on the other hand, use less energy. They reduce environmental dissipate. They increase the product lifetime. The factory waste is more easily recycled and biodegradable, and they use less hazardous materials. With green computing, we think of it on the personal computing side. However, when you think about the macrocosm, like data centers, the same serves a purpose. We can actually minimize the footprints of the buildings. We can use low-emission building materials, carpets and paints, sustainable landscaping, waste recycling, installation of catalytic converters on backup generators, the use of alternative energy technologies such as photovoltaics, heat pumps, and evaporative cooling, renewable energy source to power facilities and backup systems. Some of the cutting-edge technologies that have not been used currently by many of the mainstream organizations in America, let alone the world. In that same realm, we have green office buildings. With greener office buildings, we can make them more energy efficient with heating and cooling, ventilation and air conditioning, windows, lighting, plumbing fixtures, other key technologies all add to the greener office building, which will ultimately decrease in overhead and increase in saving the environment. Being that Everbank Commercial Finance is a niche industry, specifically in the leasing world, there's room for the birth of green leasing. Green leasing reduces utility consumption and saves money. It improves the working relationship within your landlord, supports corporate sustainability objectives, enhances your corporate brand image. It demonstrates vision and leadership within your industry. Improves civic relations where you lease. Helps lead in other certification efforts. Improves employee productivity, recruitment, and retention. Waste stream diversions might generate additional savings. A green lease is good for the environment and everyone in it. With the birth of a green leasing and diving into the green leasing sector, we have room for Everbank's first time in the renewable energy equipment leasing business. The renewable energy equipment leasing industry will be an excellent arena for Everbank Commercial Finance to compete in. We'll be able to bring our brand of business to this platform and become experts and innovators at providing even better service to our customers. Our customers will achieve additional substantial benefits, which include meeting their environmental regulatory requirements and taking advantage of additional tax incentives. Renewable energy certificates, also known as renewable energy credits, or tradable renewable certificates, which may be offered in their particular state. This will also pave the way for establishing a CSR plan. My conclusion is that this study proves that it's time for this company to begin the implementation of not a basic CSR plan, but a full-blown CSR effort. Corporate social responsibility is no longer an obligation that corporations feel they need to take on, but has become central to the operations of many of the best companies today. Implementing a CSR business plan takes a full commitment of the entire senior leadership team and must be considered to be a major corporate cultural effort when CSR is totally new to the organization. In this case, we're not new to it, but there's various room for improvement. And you can see that by some of the results of the engagement survey before you. I realize this, and I've determined that the first step is to propose this idea to you, my esteemed board of directors, colleagues, and dear friends. Our customers' contributions make business possible for us, and as a result, we have a reciprocal obligation to our stakeholders to operate in ways that are deemed socially responsible and beneficial. The world today is nothing like the world of yesterday. We take for granted nature's beautiful and bountiful existence and have distanced ourselves with the direct relation we have to the planet. However, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to remain that way, and it shouldn't remain that way. We have the opportunity to do our due diligence with how we contribute back to society and our environment. The best tool that the consumer has at their disposal to change the world's approach to the environment is how they choose to spend their money. For example, in today's society, people demonstrate that environmental responsibility is important to them. So companies have to listen and make the appropriate changes. We can initiate change through our daily operations, and because businesses operate within the larger context of society, society has the right and the power to define expectations for those who operate within its boundaries. This is where CSR is born. CSR emerges from this interaction and the interdependent relationship between business and society. It's a way of matching corporate operations with societal values and expectations that are constantly evolving. CSR is a regulatory solution for businesses seeking to maximize their performance by minimizing restrictions on operations and improve trade-off for all involved. In today's globalizing world, where individuals and activist organizations feel empowered to enact change, CSR represents that dream. It represents a means of anticipating and reflecting societal concerns, only to minimize operational financial constraints on businesses. CSR also adds value because it allows us to reflect the needs and concerns of our various stakeholder groups. In doing so, we are more likely to return and retain our societal legitimacy and maximize our financial viability over the long haul. In order for profit corporations to be a force in society, they must adopt a CSR strategy. They have to embrace the range of economic, legal, ethical, and discretionary actions that affect the economic performance of the firm. The overlap where economic and social value intersect is at the heart of any successful CSR policy. It creates the very fiber of our culture that brings an unprecedented to the way we do business here at Everbank.